how Daryl made over $70,000 his first month in wholesaling real estate. What is up, guys? Zach in here. And in today's video, we have Daryl right here. And Daryl is going to share exactly how he was able to make $70,000 his first month and how you can do the same thing in your wholesaling business. Guys, I'm pumped up for this one. This is exciting. This is something super inspirational for me. So, Daryl, how's it going?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Glad I found you and your dad. Changed my
Awesome,
life,
man.
man.
So let's hear about your story. How did you get started in real estate wholesaling?
All right, man. So like I said, long story short, man, my best friend was dipping in real estate wholesaling, and he sent me one day. He was like, "Man, I just closed 2 deals." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "2 checks right here." He's like, "I just made 12 grand, bro. No, like no money out of my own pocket." I'm like, "How does that work?" I'm like, "That's crazy. Like, how does that work, man?" He's like, "I just found the end buyer." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So he was like, "I can send you over a course." I'm like, "All right, man, send the course over." And it was your dad, you on your dad's course. He's like, "Check it out." I'm like, "How much does it cost?" He's like, "It's free." I'm like, "There's no way it's free." He's like, "Bro, they're probably one of the few people out there that are actually giving away free game, and it's actually legit." So I'm like, "All right, man, I'll check it out." I registered for the course, and then it said register for the free contract. So I downloaded the contract, checked the contract out. I read through it. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, this is pretty, this is pretty cool. So I've always been in a Facebook group, and every day I see deals. Like I see deals. I'm always seeing deals in there. So I'm like, okay, I know I can do this, man. I know I can do it. I come from an insurance background. It's just gonna take some work ethic. So I would stay up late night. At the time I had a newborn. Well, she was on the way. We had about like three or 4 months left, and I had an idea. I'm like, hey, well, I want to start, another business for her. I want to be able to, leave her something if something were to happen to me, or just for something for her to have when she grows up. So I started RN Real Estate Group, which is my LLC, and I'm like, you know what? Well, I can have an LLC all I want. I need to have this thing making money. So I would study the course just to get. I said the main thing is if I can understand the terminology and just understand a little bit, I can figure out the rest along the way as I start actually getting out there in the field and actually doing work. Because I'm more of a experienced learner. Like if I go through the experience and I actually do be hands on, I can learn more. So that's what I did. I went through. I started going through the course. I started learning terminologies, and then I started. I didn't actually pull a list. The crazy thing about it is I actually started on, because in insurance, I'm used to using what we call internet leads. So person contact us and they're looking for insurance. So I was like, well, I think there's probably a way to where I could find a system or build a system to where I could have leads coming in. So what I did was, I guess, what people call PPC leads. In other words, PPC leads. So I built a system to start having my own PPC leads coming in, similar to what I have for my insurance. And the first call I made, I called the lady, and I'm like, hey, I didn't even have a script. I'm just like, hey, Justine, are you looking to sell your property at 123 Main Street? She's like, yes. I'm like, wow. I'm like, this is, Daryl, we pay with cash. We can close as little as 30 days. Like, I just kind of just made a script up on my, just off of my head, just made a script up. I'm like, I know if I just sound like I know what I'm talking about, I should be fine. So, I went through and I said, can I go out and walk the property and just check it out? She's like, yeah, my mom can meet you out there. I'm like, all right, cool, cool, cool. I like, so well, can she meet me there tomorrow? Yeah, she can meet you there tomorrow. So I go out there tomorrow. Crazy thing was, my first actually wholesale deal was a farm, and it was 42 acres plus the
Woo.
house. The home was around 5,300 square feet. So I was just like, okay, I don't really know what to do. So I go out there, check everything out. The home needs a lot of work, but it was still pretty good and it was vacant. So I'm like, okay, I guess the next step is, seeing, what she'll take for a cash offer. She told me her number. And we went back and forth for probably over a month. And I talked with her about a month, and we were just going back and forth, and I kept getting discouraged. I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't do this wholesaling thing. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. And in my head, I said, you know what? Every deal has a buyer. I said, if I just stick to it and I just keep grinding it out every day and I keep negotiating with her, I can get a contract. So what I would do is I would just follow up with her all the time. So now I really truly believe that even if you can't get the deal at first, I believe if you follow up with them and they hear from you enough, you'll be able to get the deal at some point. And I kept following up with her. And then one day we came to an agreement on the number, and she's like, send the contract over now. I just need to be able to get my things out. take me about 30 days. I said, that's no problem at all. I said, we can give you time to get everything out. So that's not an issue at all. I sent the contract over to her through DocuSign. She signed it. And I went on Facebook Marketplace, and I listed I put the home up there on Facebook Marketplace, and I put assignment of contract, cash buyers, and hard money only. But all this information I learned either from the course that your dad and you put together, or either just scrolling through the Facebook group. I would just see what others are doing, and I would just like implement what they're doing. I'm like, if I just implement what they're doing, I'm sure it will work. And I think it took me about 2 weeks or so, and I found a end buyer. I actually had two buyers meet me at the property. I had a lockbox down there, and one of the buyers came and he's like, "I want it right now, man." He's like, "I'll give you the deposit right now." The guy gave me cash. He's like, "Here's $1,000 cash, man. I got this in my pocket. I'll give you more, whatever you need. I want the property." I'm like, I looked at my fiance. I'm like, "This isn't real." She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "This is not real." And the guy's like, "Send the contract over right now, man. I'll go ahead and sign the assignment of contract, and we're good to go." I said, "So you can close this Friday?" It's like, "Yeah, man." I'm like, I said, "Do you have proof of funds?" The guy literally pulled up his bank account. He's like, "I have it right here, man. This is my account. You see, I have proof of funds right here." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I'm like, "All right, cool." I'm just like, "Wait, you have $370,000 just to get this done?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, wow, I didn't believe him. Like my fiance, and we're driving back from it, and she's like, "This is crazy. Like, you're gonna make that much money, and you just started." I'm like, "Yeah," but I'm like, thanks to you guys, like I said, putting the course together and just having that group. I feel like just that Facebook group alone, if you're scrolling through there like I am every day, just looking at different people do deals, it inspires you to want to at least keep going. And then once you see there's others doing it, it's like, I know I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just staying motivated, and just keeping a clear mind, and just keep working and working and working, and the deal is going to come. That was my main thing. My main thing is, if I have a good deal, I'll be able to find a buyer every time.
Wow. And then how much was the official assignment on that first deal?
So at first, long story short, the official assignment was when it was all said and done, it was 30K. But at first it was actually 70K. And then the seller contacted me and was like, "Hey, look, I don't think I want to do a deal anymore." And I'm like, "Hey, look, before I let a deal slip, that's just my mindset. I'll just, I'll give her some out of my out of my assignment." I'm like, because my buyer's already signed. I'm not gonna go up on them on the price because I could lose them. I need them. I'm like, so I'll just take a little bit out of my assignment. I have wiggle room. We're gonna get this deal done. Like, this is the first one I'm bringing to the table. I'm getting this thing closed out, man. And so I gave her some out of my assignment, and she's like, "Okay, we're good. We're good to go." Perfect. And then from there, it was a 30K assignment. Once again, no money out of my own pocket. And I mean, it was unbelievable just to even experience and pick up my first check. It didn't seem real.
Wow. I mean, hey, a lot of people get greedy and they lose out the deal, but you chose a win-win and it's blessed you, man. So
Exactly.
$30,000. How did that feel? Like you and your fiance there?
Well, man, we were just like, the biggest thing is just like, wow, like this is, is life changing to be able to get the 30 grand just like that, like no money out of our own pocket. It was a big feeling, especially because I had a goal of having my daughter's LLC make money before she was born. So that was the
Ooh.
biggest thing, because that was one of my goals. And I really, really, really wanted to accomplish that goal. So like being able to actually have two deals done before she came out made me feel even better. Like the craziest thing is, a lot of people probably think I'm crazy, but when we were in the labor delivery room, I was still making calls. like my fiance was like, she didn't mind, because they had her, they were taking care of her, she was just fine. She was in labor for like 14 hours, so we were just sitting there, and I'm like, look, I got addicted to it. I'm like, I need more deals. So I was literally, she watched me. I was making calls, trying to find motivated sellers while I'm sitting in the labor room. I had to get it done.
Hey, I mean, some people like golf and some people like doing deals. It's
Yep.
fun, man. So how much is that second deal?
Second deal was 40.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Second deal was 40, and pretty much the same deal. I contacted the guy. He kept telling me, he was like, "Hey man, look, I don't think you want to buy my property." He was like, "It needs a lot of work to it." I was like, "Man, we buy properties." I was listening. You look, man, we buy properties in any condition. Literally, it doesn't matter. How about this, man? How about I come out tomorrow? Is it okay if I come out and walk the property tomorrow, and I'll let you know what I can put together as a cash offer? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's okay. He's like, "Yeah." And then I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then the thing was, he was he was a pre-foreclosure, so he only had 2 weeks left, and he was done. Like it was over to the bank. So like that, his back was against the wall. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I went out, checked the property out. I told him, I called him back. I'm like, hey, look, man, I can do. He was like, I want 350. I said, look, I already knew the comps. The comps were like well over 600 grand. It needed about maybe like 80 grand of work to it. I'm like, and it was in a good area. It was in Apex, North Carolina. So I'm like, hey, look, man. I'm like, I'm right at 340. I'm like, I'm right at 340. Can we do it? He's like, let me get the official payoff from the bank. Call me back Wednesday and I'll let you know. And this was Sunday. I said, okay. I called the guy back Monday. Like I was like, I'm not letting anyone get this deal. I'm calling him back Monday. I'm like, hey man, just checking in with you. Has the payoff came back? He's like, no. He was like, call me back Wednesday and then we'll see. So I called him back again Wednesday. Well, he actually called me back Wednesday. He's like, hey Daryl, the payoff came in. I know I said 350, but we can do 340. Let's get it. Can you send the contract over? I'm like, cool.
Man, I don't know to ask you this, but like 70K in 1 month, how much work would it take for you to make $70,000 in insurance?
Man, even though insurance is a high paying, a high paying industry, man, I mean, even when I was doing around 20K a month, it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of work. And on top of that, we run a lot of face-to-face appointments. So it's going to take a lot of driving for one. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot, honestly, because, it's going to take a lot. And just it honestly, with the wholesaling, man, it doesn't even feel like you're working because it's like it's a win-win, especially when a situation like that, like guy's about to lose his home in 2 weeks. I come in. Crazy thing was about it, he actually walked away with a $75,000 check.
Yeah.
So really, and that was my first deal. I probably could have tried him a lower offer, but the crazy thing is, I felt good. He's like, look, man, if I know anyone that needs to sell their home that's in my situation, I'll refer them to you, Daryl. I appreciate you. You just changed my life, actually, because I'm walking away. I was actually in pre-foreclosure. Now I'm walking away with a check. So the good thing about it is I'm sure if he ever runs into someone who needs to sell their home, he'll end up referring them to me just because of the way I treated him along the whole process.
Beautiful. I mean, it's a win-win because like you're helping the seller out, you're making money, the cash buyer's happy, and most important, like you look at this versus insurance, is like you have all the knowledge in real estate now that like once you start making that money, pour some of that money into real estate, and like you, your kids, your fiance, like you're taken care of. And like I think that's one really important part because like you can find any deal you want now. It's amazing, but $70,000 in a first month, that's insane. And then you got your third deal too, right? What was that, like 8,000-9,000?
4. So we had
4.
Last week we closed 2 deals on the same day. Last Monday. 2 deals on the same day. One I had for about 30 days. But once again, like the way I think, man, in business is that if I have a good deal, it may take me a little longer. Like the first 2 deals I signed in 7 days. But I know I'm like, with this business, it's not gonna always work out like that. But if I have a good deal, I know I can find an end buyer at some point. So the one deal was in Morganton, North Carolina, which is up towards Asheville, North Carolina. I had that deal for about 30 days. Finally assigned it after talking to about over 100 cash buyers. I finally assigned the deal. And then the other deal I signed that in about 7 days. That was in Goldsboro, North Carolina.
Wow, man, that's insane. I mean, my other question is, I know you have a good experience with sales, with insurance, but like as a beginner, how did you get a good rapport with these sellers and get these deals done? Because a lot of people get really caught up on that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, and like I learned in insurance, we're just dealing with people. At the end of the day, we're dealing with people, and they just want to be treated fairly. And I think the biggest thing is, I always start in sales. I'm pretty much just selling myself. So if I can get them to trust me, if I can build trust and they know I'm a genuine person, they'll pretty much do the deal with me. Long as the numbers make sense. Even sometimes, like the one deal I did in Morganton, the lady, she was actually trying to be an investor, but she's never actually invested before. She actually bought the home from a bank, but she never got to see the inside of the home. So when she actually bought the home, she was finally able to see the inside. It was a little bit more work than she could handle. So she actually didn't have the funds to fix the home. So she lost a little bit of the home, wholesaling it to me. But the thing is, she didn't care because of the rapport I built with her and the relationship that me and her built. So I think the biggest thing is, I don't even think I know for a fact, even when I began, I didn't know everything I was talking about, but just me being a genuine person and being very understanding, that's how I believe that's how I'm able to get the deals. It's not more so about who knows the most, but I think it's a lot of times because you're selling yourself, they
Mm.
want to know if they can trust you to do business with you. Because the funny thing is, all of my deals, I actually get the contracts and everything done virtually. I don't go out and see the properties. I get them to actually send me pictures of them, and then later down the line, just to verify if I have to renegotiate the price, which I have 2 times, I go out and see the property.
Wow. And then what's your script for a seller then? Just doing it virtually. Obviously, I have mine, but everyone kind of says it a little differently. And I'm just curious, what's your go-to script when someone's like,
So
wait, you're not going to come see the house? What's going on?
yeah, so what I say is, the way we're doing things now, I actually looked at one of your videos. The way we're doing things now because of COVID, we're actually doing everything virtually just to be safe, for myself and for you as well. So that's the only reason I'm not able to come out. We're doing everything virtually. You can send us some videos, send us some pictures, and then we're actually able to give you a cash offer from there, which, a lot of people actually like doing it that way. And then when I say my deal is like an insurance, I learned if I say a lot of people like doing it that way, they're like, I'm like, you normally you probably seen where like now you're doing doctor visits over the phone or on video. And one lady, she was like, yeah, that's true. Actually, I didn't think about that. I'm like, yeah, it's the same deal. Everything's just moving more towards virtually. So that's why we're able to do it, because we actually, purchase nationwide. Like,
Mm.
oh, okay, cool.
Man, that I wish I had that starting out, but I didn't. But hey, man, that works out really well. So the next part, I think a lot of people get really caught up with starting out, especially people that go through freewholesaling.com and the Facebook group is like, how do I find ARV? How do I find offer price? And people get like stuck in analysis paralysis, and they're just like so caught up on that. Like, how were you able to kind of break through that analysis paralysis?
I think the biggest thing for me is, like I said, actually, I still do it if I'm being honest. I go back and watch. There's a video on comps and the ARV that you put together in that course. I'll actually go back and keep replaying that just to be sure. But another thing that I do when I run like the comps and all of that, I kind of got over it, because the way I'll do it, if I'll run my comps and then I actually build a relationship with a realtor who has access to MLS. And what I'll do, I built a pretty good relationship with them, and I'll actually have them, and I built relationships with other wholesalers who I can actually trust. And I'll have them just check comps for me in that area just to make sure my comps are kind of in line with their comps.
Perfect. And then how do you figure out once you got the comps, how much to offer?
So how do I figure it out? Once again, that's from your videos. Honestly, I look at your videos, and then from there, I'll kind of do well. I kind of think no one taught me this, but just being business mindset. Like, I know what the market is doing now. So what I'll do is, I know at the end of the day, the deal has to make sense for my end buyer for it
Mm.
to actually be a deal. So when I'm looking at it, I'll actually be more conservative, and I'll go a little bit. I don't do the 70% rule, actually. I go a little bit below that. So I'll do somewhere around like 60, if I'm being honest. I do like 60. I just want to make sure, like I said, I build good rapport with my sellers though. And I just want to make sure that it's a good deal for my end buyer. So I'll just offer kind of like what you said in the videos. I'll do my lowest offer. If they bite on it, cool. If they don't, I know I have a little bit of wiggle room and I'll pull it up.
Wow. Okay. And then the next one here is like you're dealing with stuff in Apex, almost by Asheville. You're kind of all over North Carolina. How are you dealing with the title company situation with that?
Oh, so another thing, man. In the video I heard, you were in the video and you were just saying that you or your dad call around, find good title companies and build a relationship with them. Build a good relationship, because they're gonna be you need a title company. Like, they're probably gonna be your best friend more than likely. So I always keep replaying in my head. So before my first deal, I actually connected with a closing attorney here, and he does title search and everything. And I built a good relationship with him. So now I actually take all of my deals to the same uh, title guy, the same closing attorney. No matter where it is in North Carolina, I told him I would take all of my deals to him, because there's been times I've had a deal and they had to close really fast, and his office makes sure they get it done as fast as possible for me.
Beautiful. And then really, I'm always curious because not everyone goes everything perfectly smooth, but like, what were some of the hardest things you had to overcome and learn starting out? Like any struggles starting out?
Yeah, so the one deal actually, I didn't mention this. So the first deal that I actually did, when we got to the closing table, it actually didn't close that day.
Ooh.
So it took about a couple weeks later to actually fully close. Like my buyer came with the funds. What happened was I was just getting started. I didn't know the home actually there was so the husband passed away and it was the wife and she was trying to sell the home.
Mm.
The husband had a will. I didn't know much about that. I didn't know much about an executor. So I'm like,
Mm.
good luck. Wow, my first deal, and I'm dealing with this. So we get to the closing table, and we were thinking the executor would be there, everything. Well, the executor decided not to sign. He decided to sign because there was a family situation going on between him and the seller. So I'm like, great, but I'm like, great. So this is what we're dealing with now. He's not signing. So actually, I'm like, this is going to teach me a lot. Like, I have to get this deal done. Like, there's no way I bring it all to the closing table. My buyer's here with the funds. It's not closing. Like, what's going on? So what I did was I had my closing attorney reach out to the executor's attorney that he had for the estate. And I actually started, they're about an hour away. I started driving down there myself, talking to the executor's lawyer to get this thing taken care of. So it took me a while to structure that deal. I ran through a lot of adversity with that deal because what happened was the seller actually owed the executor money for some things that happened during the estate closing. And he wanted his money or he wasn't signing to get the deal done. So once again, I built a good relationship with the seller to where I was able to actually get the seller to pay the executor the 70 grand out of her closing proceeds. So that's
All
how I was
right.
able to get that deal closed. But that took a lot of because the executor actually lives in a different state. He lives in Ohio. So
Mm.
it was a lot of communicating between myself, the executive's lawyer, my closing attorney, the seller, and basically now I'm playing in between kind of family situations. But I was so determined to get that deal to the closing table and to close it out fully that I wasn't letting up. And it was headaches every day. I mean, it was emailing back and forth every day. I was driving down to his attorney every day to figure out how can we get this thing settled. And I was able to get the seller to I'm like, hey, look, you're getting a lot of money back. You guys pay X amount for it. It has a lot of equity. I mean, you're getting a lot of money. Let's just go ahead and pay the executor what he wants, and we can get this thing done and over with. So that deal was I would say, a really stressful one, but at the same time, nothing compares to it. Like you couldn't pay me to work somewhere where I could make 30 grand and go through the little adversity I did. It's no way, and still have my freedom. Don't forget, like so once I pick my check up, I'm still not clocking in and out anywhere. That's the biggest thing.
Dude, it's beautiful, man. So are you doing insurance still?
I'm doing I'm doing insurance still, man. But I would say I'm pretty much almost full time just doing wholesaling, honestly.
Wow, man.
Yeah,
That's beautiful, man. I
yeah.
love it. So really, what's going on with you in the future? Are you looking to scale the operations? Like where you sort of where are you going now?
So for me, man, right now I'm using wholesaling to build my capital up.
Mm.
And my mindset right now is I want to get some multifamily rentals.
Mm.
So yeah, that's what I'm looking to do, man. So that's why I'm trying to get as many deals in the pipeline as I can. And anything that I do run across, that is multifamily or a good rental, I'm actually trying to keep for myself.
Beautiful, man. I love it. So, the last thing I could ask you is, starting out, there's a lot of beginners out here that want to be like you or emulate your success. What are some things you wish somebody told you starting out that could have helped you with a lot of headaches?
So I will say one of the things that I wish, probably the experience I had with the executor, because like I said, that was on
Mm.
my behalf. I didn't know, so I went in prop stream. I saw her husband's name up there. I didn't see anything about going through any kind of like probate or anything like that. So I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware of it. Of the
Yeah.
executive being on the file or anything. So I feel like getting her to sign everything. I feel like I would have known before. Like, hey, look, the executor needs to sign. Yes, she needs to sign as well because in the will it was willed to her, but they never finished up everything. Far as when it came to getting everything transferred over in her name fully. So I think if I would have known, I could have done my due diligence in the beginning, and I wouldn't have ran into that problem at the closing table. But
Yeah.
I don't care about adversity, and I'm willing to keep working and keep grinding. So I knew either way it was going to get closed.
Beautiful, man. That's what it's all about. I mean, it must feel good, just getting that money in there, helping with your daughter being born, and it's a bright future. She can
Yep,
go see this interview and see, hey, you know what, my dad took the risk, he
yep.
went out for me, and it's a beautiful thing. And I know this is a start of something amazing for you. I can't wait to have you on next year and really see. And maybe poke some fun at your friend and get him going too, because
Yeah,
like
man.
you're going
It's
off like a rocket ship.
it's crazy. Like, so my friend who told me about it, he's like, bro, you're killing it, man. Like, what are you doing? So I've actually, and we've always been like that. It's crazy because my it's my best friend. So a lot of times he'll find a good opportunity, and I'll
Mm,
be the one to help us explode the opportunity. So that's like
mm,
we work well together. So the thing is now, like he just closed, he's actually starting to close more deals now because we're just like compete, we're just like motivating each other.
yeah.
And now I'm like, hey, bro, like I can help you move some of your deals too, man. Like, I have ways where I can find cash buyers. Like one of my cash buyers, they buy in a few different states. And he actually just had a deal last week that closed. And I told him, I was like, hey, you can use one of my cash buyers, man. So it's pretty cool, man. I love wholesaling. I just love the real estate and industry and period, man, because there's so many different avenues you can go, man. Now I'm actually starting to get more into like subject twos, different kind of creative financing. Once again, I was just watching your dad videos yesterday. I replayed it like 5 times before I called the seller to kind of go through what creative financing options I had in my head.
Yeah, man. Freewholesaling.com's got it all. Wholesaling Houses for Real Facebook group. You're definitely an inspiration. I can't wait to see where you're in the future. But if somebody's in North Carolina, I'm guessing you do all of North Carolina. If
Yep.
someone wants to send you a deal, how are they going to go reach out to you? How can they send a deal and do a deal with you?
Man, well, they can. A lot of people have already been hitting me up on Facebook, so it should just be Daryl Nickerson on Facebook, and then on Instagram, Daryl.Nickerson.Jr. on Instagram. You can find me those two places, man. Hit me up. Like I said, I don't mind sharing information at all. I'm an open book. I don't mind doing JV deals because the thing is, I'm a person. I love to help others. I've always been
Mm,
like that. Even in insurance, I just have that type of heart where I'm always looking to inspire people. I'm always looking to help others. There's actually a guy in the group that reached out to me about 3 weeks ago, and I'm actually walking him through his first deal now, man. I'm helping him. He just called me. He's excited. He's like, bro, you helped me a lot, man. He's like, I can't believe you even take the time out to help me. I'm like, bro, for sure, because I didn't really have anyone to kind of walk me through stuff besides I watch your dad video and your videos every day, replaying them every day, and just taking bits and pieces and putting it into my business to get my deals done. So I'm always here to help anyone. That's just the type of person I am.
Daryl, I love it, man. Dude, I cannot wait to see your future. You're a go-giver. I love it. Man, reach out to him, do some JV deals. Look at a wholesaling house for real. Just search him up, DM him, get some deals. You're probably gonna be flowing with DMs and stuff, but like his checks are on there. This is
Yeah,
real stuff. Like this is real legit stuff. So,
yeah,
Daryl, thank you so much for hopping on. Love your success. You're an inspiration. Thank you so much for hopping on today.
yeah, man. I thank you and your dad, man. You guys really are a blessing. It really changed my life. It changed my life a lot, man. I'm excited, man. I'm glad to have you guys here, man. I'm glad you guys have what you have put together, and because it can help all of us if we just put the work in.
100%, man. Guys, thank you so much for watching this today. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.
See ya.